Hey everyone, tonight we're starting with something that might crack the floor beneath your feet. Imagine an attic so dusty it almost dulls the air. You're up there on a Sunday, maybe to avoid doing laundry or pretend to fix a light bulb. The floorboards squeak. Something rattles. You find an old leather trunk with a rusty latch. You open it, and there, stuck between old tax returns and a broken Polaroid, is a yellowed envelope with your name on it. The handwriting doesn't look like yours. You're probably not going to make it out alive this time. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. And let me know in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Now, turn off the lights, turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and begin your night together. You don't open the envelope right away. There's something about it that feels ceremonial. Like it requires clean hands and a clear head. You set it aside, brew some tea, chamomile, because you're trying to pretend you're not spiraling, and finally, you sit at the kitchen table where you used to help your son with his science homework. Your fingers shake as you tear it open. The paper inside is thin and fragile. You unfold it carefully. The ink is smudged at the edges, but you can still make out every word. It's a letter. Signed by your late Uncle Thomas. A man who passed away 10 years ago, who never married, never had children, and barely spoke beyond a nod at family dinners. But apparently, he kept a secret burning on his conscience long enough that he had to write it down in ink, just in case. The letter says that on the day your son was born, something went wrong at the hospital. He doesn't go into details, but he mentions a change. He calls it a mistake. But also, a cover-up. Your chest tightens. At first you don't believe it. Uncle Thomas has a flair for the dramatic. This could be a half-baked plot, an old man's guilt, or even a bad joke. But you feel it, don't you? A cold feeling at the base of your neck, like the truth has just hit your shoulder. You spend the rest of the day walking around. Your son's out, probably skateboarding, or maybe hiding at your house playing video games. He's 14 now. It's getting harder to read. Sometimes the way it looks at you, as if it's searching your face for answers to questions it doesn't even know how to ask. You remember something strange. The day he was born, you were alone. Your partner hadn't arrived yet, traffic or stress, you don't remember now. The nurse wheeled him in after birth, wrapped tightly in a pale blue blanket. You remember how quiet he was. Eyes wide. Studying you. But now your memory plays back like tape on an old camcorder. You notice what you didn't notice then, the way the nurse hesitated before handing him to you. The whispering at the station. The glances that passed between the two nurses when you asked a simple question about his APGAR score. Of course, you dismissed it. You were tired. Too high on adrenaline and endorphins. You had a baby. That was the only thing that mattered. But now, you begin to see darkness where you once saw light. You call your sister. She doesn't answer. You text her, "Do you remember anything strange about the day my son was born?" No response. You go back to the attic. You need more. Something to confirm or disprove the rabbit hole you've just been pushed into. You sift through more papers. Nothing useful. Old bills. A few obscure receipts. A rusty box of keys that won't open anything in your house. Then you find it, stuck in an old yearbook. A birth certificate. Not your son's, but the name is familiar. Born on the same day. Same hospital. Same time. But not your son. You feel your hands shaking. The tea on the table has gone cold. The house creaks, but you don't look up. The name, it stirs something in you. A neighbor, maybe? A classmate of your son's? No, someone from your old office. You can't quite place it. You Google the name. A teenager's Instagram pops up. About the same age. And your blood runs cold when you see his profile picture. Because he looks like you. Nose in that way. No. He does. Not at all. Not in the vague, "oh, he has your nose" way. No. He looks exactly like you in 8th grade. Same right dimple as your 8th grade yearbook photo. Same chin dimple. Same lazy right eye. Your heart is pounding so hard it's funny. Historians still debate whether Emperor Nero actually played the lyre while Rome burned, but right now, you swear you hear a violin. This isn't. You want to pretend you didn't hear it. That maybe Eric said something else, anything else. But the way your daughter's eyes flicker in response, the way Eric stiffens when he realizes you were listening, it confirms the thing your gut already screamed, that whisper was for Raymond. About Raymond. Because of Raymond. And suddenly, you're not just a new mother. You're an observer trapped in someone else's chess match. Eric avoids your eyes again, this time more obviously. He kisses your forehead like it's a formality, not affection, then mutters something about needing coffee. You watch him disappear into the hallway, his shoes squeaking like guilt down the tile corridor. You sit there, alone again, well, not alone. Not really. But with someone so new, so tiny, and so terrifyingly vulnerable it almost feels worse than solitude. The baby stirs. You instinctively cradle her closer. And then you catch a whiff of that cologne again. Not strong this time. Fainter. Like it's clinging to the walls. Or maybe your mind's playing tricks on you. They say Napoleon wore violet cologne laced with ambergris, yes, the whale kind, because it made people lean closer when he spoke. Historians still argue whether that was strategy or just obsession. But the idea stuck, scent is control. Raymond wears his cologne the same way. The next day, the hospital discharges you. Eric insists you stay with his parents just for a few days while he prepares the apartment. Something about plumbing. Something about making sure the baby's room is ready. He says it with the same dull performance as a man reciting a hostage script. You know your mother would object. She'd offer your childhood room, fresh bedsheets, warm soup. But she's 6 hours away and currently visiting your aunt in Osaka. Timing, of course, is everything. So you go. Raymond's house is massive, older than it looks, full of rooms that no one seems to use and clocks that are always slightly wrong. The baby cries that first night, a raw, urgent sound. You rush to pick her up, but when you get to the bassinet, she's already in Raymond's arms. You freeze in the doorway. He smiles. She has your nose. You say nothing. You want to scream put her down, but your throat betrays you. He hands her back, almost reluctantly. And then he places a hand on your shoulder. It lingers half a second too long. You're part of something special now, he says. He's not talking about the baby. You sleep that night with one eye open. The mattress is too soft, the wallpaper peeling just enough to reveal something beneath. You imagine old names scrawled there, maybe in pencil, maybe in something darker. Women who once stayed just for a few days. The next morning, Eric is gone. Left early. Work emergency, according to the note by your breakfast tray. Toast. Poached egg. Chamomile tea. All served before you even wake up. Too precise to be accidental. Too curated to be kind. You find yourself pacing that day. Walking laps around the mansion's perimeter with your baby strapped to your chest. The grounds are eerily well kept, hedges trimmed to military standards, fountains cleaned of algae. You pass a marble bench with two initials etched in it, R and A. You don't ask who A was. You already know. A historian once said old estates like this are less houses and more time capsules. Every door creaks for a reason. Every rug hides a stain. You start noticing the subtle erasures. Family portraits with faces painted over. Books on the shelves with torn-out pages. Journals tucked into drawers with only the first and last entries intact. One book in particular catches your eye. A slim red leather journal wedged between volumes on family genealogy. You open it. Most pages are blank. Except one. July 9th. She resisted. That's it. You close the book. You don't know who she is. Or what she resisted. But the date burns into your brain. July 9th. That's your daughter's birthday. Coincidence? Maybe. But the brain doesn't believe in coincidences when adrenaline is involved. That night, you ask Raymond about the bench. About A. He gives you that same almost smile. Annalise, he says. My late wife. God rest her soul. You nod, even though you're already doing the math. The photos. The timeline. The way no one talks about her in full sentences. You want to ask more, but Raymond's gaze pins you like a butterfly under glass. She believed in fate too, he says. Until the end. You sleep badly again. This time the baby doesn't cry. She sleeps soundly, deeply. Too deeply. You keep placing your hand on her chest just to feel the rise and fall. Your heart races all night. You start noticing the smallest things, the smell of rosemary under your pillow, the faint ticking of a hidden clock behind the dresser, the fact that the bassinet was moved 2 inches from where you left it. You're not imagining it. You can't be. Historians still argue whether Rasputin was a prophet or a parasite. But the women around him kept dying, and no one ever had the nerve to stop him until it was too late. In the morning, Raymond offers to take you both for a drive. Somewhere peaceful. He says it like it's a treat. But your body says trap. You decline. Later, when Eric calls, his voice is thin. Distracted. He asks how the baby is. You say fine. He says that's good, like he's saying goodbye. You feel the shift then. The distance between you two is no longer measured in miles. It's measured in truths unspoken. That night, you find a second journal in the closet. This one is older. The cover cracked, pages yellowed. The name inside is Elise Chandler. You don't recognize it until you flip to the end. I miss her. Even now. But he says it was necessary. That it's always necessary. The handwriting isn't Elise's. It's Raymond's. You hold the journal like it might ignite in your hands. You don't mean to keep reading. You mean to put it back, to pretend you never found it, to close the door and let this old house return to its eerie slumber. But you don't. You turn the page. Another entry. Dated 3 years before Eric was born. She wanted to leave. She said the voices were louder when he cried. I told her it was fear. She said it was prophecy. You don't breathe for a moment. The words sit on your chest like a boulder, pressing against your ribs. You reread them. Voices were louder when he cried. You glance over at your daughter. Fast asleep in her bassinet, lips twitching in a half-dream, hand curled like she's still holding on to something from before birth. You close the book slowly, place it back into the hollowed space behind the old coats, and shut the closet door. That night, Raymond insists you eat dinner in the formal dining room. The table is absurdly long for 2 people. Candles flicker in iron sconces. A taxidermy hawk perches above the fireplace, eyes glassy and predatory. Raymond pours wine, yes, even for you, and to your surprise, you accept. He watches you with the patience of a man tending a trap. The baby monitor hums quietly beside your plate, broadcasting tiny breaths from the nursery. Eric tells me you had dreams about the baby before she came, Raymond says. You freeze with the glass halfway to your mouth. He leans back. He mentioned how you kept saying her name before she was even conceived. That you described her face before the ultrasound. You nod slowly, guarded. It was true. You did dream of her, long before the second line appeared on that test strip. But how did Eric tell him that? Why would he? Some bloodlines carry intuition, Raymond says. Some carry echoes. You smile politely. Science calls it coincidence. Raymond chuckles, deep and sharp. Science calls a lot of things coincidence until they become tradition. It's the kind of thing people say to make themselves sound wise. But his eyes aren't smiling. You excuse yourself after dessert. You check on the baby. She's fine. Still fine. Always fine. Too fine. You lock the nursery door from the inside. That night, you dream of water. Dark, cold water, ankle deep, then thigh deep, then over your head. You see a woman standing at the edge, hands outstretched, whispering your daughter's name over and over again like a prayer. or a warning. When you wake, your pillow is damp and your hands smell faintly of lavender and iron. Historians still argue whether ancient Roman women used dream interpretation as medicine or manipulation. But one record, found in the ashes of Pompeii, details a woman who claimed she dreamed her baby would bring ruin and fled into the hills the morning she gave birth. No one ever found her. Or the child. In the light of day, you try to rationalize everything. Maybe it's postpartum anxiety. Maybe your mind's just strained from exhaustion and isolation. Maybe this is what they mean when they say the fourth trimester. But you can't ignore the patterns. The whispering dates. The journal entries. The scent of lavender in the crib when you never placed any there. And then Eric stops calling. No texts. No check-ins. Nothing. You ask Raymond where he is. Business trip, he says. Somewhere with no reception. You stare at him. You mean like 2005? He laughs, but doesn't answer. You start counting the days. 3, 5, 7. On the 8th day, you find something behind the curtains in the study. A locked drawer. You don't have the key, but you have a butter knife. Inside, Polaroids. Dozens of them. Women. Young. Holding babies. Some smiling. Some not. Some with faces blurred by movement or maybe intention. The babies all look similar. Pale, dark hair. Eyes wide, like they've just come from somewhere else and are still adjusting to this world. You flip one over. A name, Clara M., 1981. You don't recognize her. But her eyes look like yours. You take one photo, just one, and hide it inside your sock drawer. Just in case. Later that night, the baby laughs in her sleep. It's the first time. You should feel joy. But something about the sound chills you. It's too knowing. Too old. You hold her close, forehead to forehead, and whisper, "Who are you?" She doesn't answer. Historians still argue whether the ancient Egyptians truly believed the soul entered the body at birth, or whether it merely re-entered. There's a temple inscription in Luxor that reads, "The mother is the veil, but the child remembers the fire." The next morning, the door to the nursery is open. You're sure you locked it. Raymond stands inside, cradling her. She likes the light, he says. You take her from him. You don't say a word. You don't have to. That day, you search the library for the genealogy books. You find the one that covers the 1800s. You trace the family tree backwards, name after name. And then you see something that makes your stomach turn. Your name. Your full name, handwritten under a branch dated 1846. Same spelling. Same middle name. No relation noted. Just a dash beside it. And then, scribbled in faded ink, died in childbirth. You stare at it for a long time. Because you're not the first. And maybe not the last.